For centuries, there's been this huge debate that seems to split everyone into two camps. Are we the product of divine creation, or did we evolve over millions of years? It feels like you have to pick a side, right? But what if that's the wrong way to even look at it? What if it's not a battle at all, but two different stories that come together to make one? That's what we're going to dig into today.
Yeah, this is the big one, right? Did we climb up from ancient life, shaped by survival of the fittest? Or were we molded by a creator's hand? Well, according to the spiritual teaching we're exploring, the answer isn't either or. It's actually both. And how that works is pretty fascinating.
Okay, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look at why this might be a false choice to begin with. Then we'll explore the separate journey of the body and the separate journey of the soul. After that, we'll see the exact moment they come together to make a human. And finally, we'll get into the big question: what's the whole point of this union? So let's just dive right in. The core idea here is that the whole evolution versus creation debate, it's built on a faulty foundation. It's basically a false choice, because we're trying to use one explanation for two completely different things that are happening at the same time. And here's the absolute key to understanding this. We're not talking about one process, we're talking about two totally separate things. Think of it like two train tracks running parallel to each other. One track is for the physical body. It has its own origin story, its own rules. The other track? That's for the non-physical soul. It has a completely different story. All right, so let's start with the first piece of the puzzle, the body. This is where evolution fits into the picture, but it's used in a very specific way, with a very clear goal in mind. So in this teaching, they use the Korean word jinhwa. Now it's super important to get this. When they say jinhwa, they are talking only about the physical animal body. Nothing else. It's the story of how a biological machine was slowly but surely perfected right here on planet Earth. And check out the journey it takes. It's pretty incredible when you think about it. It starts with tiny little organisms, and over billions of years adapting to everything about Earth, the air, the water, the gravity, it gets more and more complex. And eventually, you get this really advanced animal, kind of like a primate. But, and this is a huge but, at the end of this whole long process, it's still just an animal. It's a perfect vessel, but it's empty. It's waiting for something. Okay, so while all of that is happening on Earth, there's a whole other story unfolding in a totally different dimension, a non-physical one, and that's the story of the soul. This is where we meet the Yonghon Shin, the spirit or soul. It's described as this non-material energy, totally separate from our physical world. It doesn't evolve like a body does. Instead, it's just waiting for the perfect vehicle to show up so it can start its own journey. And this is where it all comes together. This is the moment where those two separate paths, the physical evolution of the body and the non-physical existence of the soul, finally cross. This is how a human is born. And the teaching is incredibly specific about when this happens. Check out this quote. It's not a conception. It's not halfway through a pregnancy. It's that first cry. That first gasp of air is supposedly the trigger, the mechanism that literally pulls the waiting soul into the body. That's the moment a human comes into being. And it gets even more specific. For this to even be possible, for the soul to dock with the body, so to speak, the body needs to have developed an exact number of, what they call energy channels. And that number is 6,606. No more, no less. It's like having the right number of ports for the hardware to connect. So what happens when this connection is made, when the soul plugs into those 6,606 channels? Something brand new is created. A new kind of energy called Maum energy or mind energy. You can think of it like the body is the hardware, the soul is the power source, and this mind energy is the operating system that boots up. Neither part could create it on its own. And this leads us to the definition of a human, or ingan in Korean. A human isn't the body. A human isn't the soul. It's this third thing that's created when they fuse together. We are, in this view, a hybrid being. A unique combination of physical and non-physical energy operating together. Okay, so that's the how. But that begs the biggest question of all, right? Why? Why go through all this trouble? If the body is just a vessel, what's the point of the soul inhabiting it in the first place? And this right here really sums up the whole purpose. The body has its journey, jinhwa, evolution. That's a finite process. Its job is to build a vessel, and once that's done, its job is pretty much over. But the soul's journey is songjung,
growth, and that's an infinite process. The body is the car, but the soul is the driver, and the whole point of the trip is to learn and experience things.
So if we're this hybrid being, what do we run on? What's our fuel? Well, just like we have two parts, we have two different kinds of food. The body obviously needs physical food to survive. But the soul is sustained by knowledge, or jishik. Every single thing we learn, every experience we have, that's described as the actual food that helps the soul grow.
Now, just so you know where all this is coming from, the teacher who lays out this framework says these ideas are interpretations from an ancient Korean text called the Jungbub. It's said to hold these core principles about how the universe works and our place in it.
So let's just leave it with this final thought. If you reframe the whole debate this way, if evolution is just about building the perfect car, and our life is about the soul taking that car for a drive, it kind of changes everything, doesn't it? It poses the question, what if the purpose of life isn't just about survival? What if it's about growing a soul?